don't have internet, I can communicate with my family, my friends, or anything. And I was like just sitting in bed and thinking. And I couldn't play anything because I was sick, so like instruments or my computer. And I couldn't read because I had like one book and I hated it.
Our podcast is about you, man, and your journey in music, and all about this new record, which is obviously like it's been out for like a month, I think, and it has over 100 billion streams on Spotify.
So crazy, yeah.
So cool.
Wow.
So cool. Yeah, and I love because this podcast is about your like origin story, and I love that the new record, from what I read, is kind of about the time in between what Nevermind and now, right? Kind of the journey through success. But I would love to hear kind of your backstory, and then we can get into the new record if that's cool.
Yeah, sure. Where do you want to start?
Let's start with being born in Tel Aviv.
Yeah, I was born in Tel Aviv.
Tell me about that.
And yeah, June 18th, 1993. So I'm 28 now. Yeah, I mean, like I started playing the trumpet when I was 8 years old. Yeah, and a few years later, my sister had a birthday. She's older than me, and she got a guitar for my parents. It was like a classical guitar, nylon one.
Mm-hmm.
So I managed to steal it and just like play. She got a book with it, so yeah, I learned a few chords just like through the book. And yeah, I think since the moment I learned 3 or 4 chords, I started writing songs and melodies in my head and just like humming it and singing it. And yeah, when I was 14, I think I was in the US with my family, and I purchased a
move from
USB.
Tel Aviv. Did you guys move from?
Just like,
just the little trip. Okay.
Yeah, just a few weeks. I think it was like the West Coast. And yeah, I bought like a shitty USB microphone, like the ones that you just like connect. It comes like with a like a software and you can record. And yeah, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna buy it. It was $100, and I came back home and I started recording. And
wow, how old were you? I
started producing my stuff at 14.
Oh, okay, you did say that 14 when you got the USB mic.
Yeah, so it was really like I would say before YouTube was a thing, and I used to read like forums. I don't know if people are like aware of like what it is now. Just like
I know what a forum is, but I'm like it's kind of like Reddit for people that don't know what it is.
Yeah, pretty much it. And yeah, I just like used to read like how to operate the software and the microphone and get like sound of the vocals and guitar and everything. Yeah, ever since that moment, I started recording more and producing more. I went to an art school, to a jazz major, as a trumpet player.
As a trumpet player?
And yeah. And I think it was the first time in my life that I heard jazz music, because I grew up listening to Nirvana and Audioslave and Soundgarden, like rock music. Sometimes like some reggae music maybe. So jazz was completely different for me. And I didn't like it for the first like year or 2 in high school. Bro, it's super weird. Like when you come from rock music, you're like, what is that? I don't know what I'm listening to. So it took me some time, like a year, until I found out like the magic in jazz. And yeah, I started listening to jazz when I was probably like 16, 17. And when I was 18, in Israel, you got to join the army. So I chose
you have to do
go
2 years, right? You got to do 2 years no matter what.
3
years. Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So I decided to go to the Navy. And I was in the Navy for 3 years. And actually, like I could go, like I could choose to go to an orchestra or be like it's called like an excellent player or something, like that you can manage to have a career and not really do like a serious service. And I at that point I thought that this could be like a good lesson for me, like take 3 years of doing like music, because as I told you, like I started playing music when I was 8, and for 10 years that's everything like I was doing, just music. So I chose to do something completely different and go to the Navy. And I said to myself that if after 3 years I still want to make music, so I think that's what I got to do for the rest of my life. It's kind of like when you go on the highway and sometimes like you're just driving because everyone is driving, and you got to take like a coffee break and fill up the gas and think about like your destination, where you're heading, and not be like a robot. And for me, yeah, I think it was really, really helpful, because when I finished my service, like when I was 21, so yeah, I was just sure
Still drawn
that I
to
want to make music.
When you were in the Navy, so you didn't join the orchestra in the Navy, you just stopped playing altogether for 3 years?
Yeah, I mean, it was really about changing the intensity of music in my life. And if I used to record a lot and play a lot every day, so in the Navy, it was probably like in weekends. I would record maybe like once a month or once in 2 months. So yeah, it was really like putting it aside for a second.
Wow. I have some questions about real quick back quite a bit here. I'm curious, what drew you to the trumpet at 8? Was your like a member of your family a trumpet player, or?
Oh, so actually, like in my school, there was a music department when I was really young, and there was a saxophone player and a teacher, and also a drum teacher, and also a guitar and trumpet. And one day they had like a showcase of all the instruments of the music department, and I remember listening to the trumpet, and I was like literally blown away.
No pun intended.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I was like, bro, this sound is like, and this instrument is so beautiful and so powerful that I knew that I had to learn how to play.
Okay, and then so you just continued with the trumpet, and then when you stole your sister's guitar, that was just kind of another side little thing that you enjoyed doing.
Yeah, so like the trumpet is like a melody instrument. You can have like harmonies on it. Unless you play like C, I saw people doing it. It's weird. Yeah, so that's why I really
like. Okay. Sorry, you cut out there for a second.
Yeah, where?
Oh, there you go. Let me just start over because you were cutting in and out. I was just curious. When you picked up your sister's guitar, that was kind of just something that you did as a hobby, like on the side. You were continuing trumpet, obviously, all the way through school.
Yeah, I felt like I needed an instrument that can like have an harmony, like a piano or guitar or something. Because the trumpet is, you can play like one note. I mean, like I saw people playing 2 trumpets and having like chords, but yeah, that's not it. So that's why I felt like I need like a harmony instrument.
Sure. Okay. So once you finish your service in the Navy and you decide, okay, I'm going to pursue music, what's the first thing you do? Do you come home and go back to the USB mic and start recording, or what was next for you?
So next, I knew that like in Israel, like everyone after the service go travel. They go to Latin America or India or Southeast Asia or something like that. And I couldn't choose like where I want to go. So I decided just like to start working and saving money and just wait for, like it was sound like a cliche, but like wait for the universe to show me like a sign, of where I gotta head. And so I was a waiter and a DJ for like separately. For like
Separately, yeah.
Yeah, like,
you want to just get up there and put a track on and then go grab the table.
Exactly. I had 2 jobs, like day job and night job. So it was like that. He called me, my friend, and he said like, look, I have a friend in Bangkok that he wants to talk to you. And I was like, yeah, sure. Let's do like a Skype call or a video call. And then like he said, I had like 2 or 3 songs out back then. And he said like, bro, I think your music is going to work here in Thailand. I think people are going to love it. I think you should come. And I was like, yeah, okay, fine. That's exactly the sign that I needed,
Sure.
So I was like, yeah, I'll see you there. I hung up the call and I bought a ticket. And a few months later, I was in Bangkok with 2 suitcases. It was actually like I upgraded my mic till then. It was not like a USB microphone. So I just packed everything in 2 suitcases, bought a guitar, and I flew to Bangkok.
Whoa! What were the songs that you had out prior to when you moved there? Are those up still? Do you still have those out?
Yeah, it's Playa and Snow White, I
Oh
think.
wow, okay.
Yeah,
So those are the very first two songs you ever put up. That's crazy. I
yeah, it's
didn't know
like
that.
Playa is like mid 2015,
Hmm.
June or May or something.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So you get there. How did they hear your music? Just through your friend?
Yeah, it was just like one friend, like a mutual friend. He was calling me and said like, I think you should come here. I think people are gonna love the music. And I was like, yeah, fine. That's all I need.
Oh my
Let's do
gosh. So
that.
then you get there, and obviously people love the music. Are you performing out like how are
No,
you getting
I mean like,
front of people? Are you just playing wherever you can?
so actually like when I got there, it was never about playing shows. It was just about going to Bangkok and see what's going on there. And I don't know, I felt like I needed to get out and spend some time alone. And yeah, when I got there, I stayed at my friend's place for a week until I found an apartment. And when I moved there, like to my new apartment, I was like, I think I should just make music. I didn't have like Wi-Fi. I didn't have anything in the apartment, just cooking stuff and a bed. And I was, yeah, I mean, that's all I need. I don't think I need to perform, or maybe that's what I thought at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And after, I think 2 weeks or 3 weeks, he called me again, this friend, like the Thai friend. And he said, look, there's a festival in Pattaya in Thailand, and I think you can play there. I can get you a slot. Like, yeah, let's do it. I mean, for sure. That's why I'm here for, no? And 2 weeks, and I was like, yeah. And I proved it, like immediately I was like, yeah, I'm gonna play it. Sure, it's gonna be great. And it was probably 2 weeks before, and I realized that I don't have enough songs. It's like the set is like 60 minutes,
Oh.
55 minutes or so.
Uh-huh.
And I had like my original songs, I don't know, 25 minutes,
Oh wow.
So
Okay.
I gotta play
another
like
double your
minutes.
set. Yeah, at least.
Double my set, like with covers that I've never played. And like you have like the original part and you have like the rest, it was shit, literally shit. And I was really nervous about it, and I got sick for I don't know, like a week, and I'm talking like 2.5 weeks before, and I got sick, and I have no Wi-Fi, I don't have internet, I can't communicate with my family, my friends, or anything, and I was like just sitting in bed and thinking, and I couldn't play anything because I was sick, so like instruments or my computer, and I couldn't read because I had like one book and I hated it after 2 pages. So all I had to do for a few days, bro, it was like an illusion, really, because I had like fever and everything. And I was like, I gotta take care of myself. But then I fell asleep, and then I woke up, and it was, yeah, like one day after, like I think it was 3 or 4 days being in bed, just like drinking water. I woke up. It was probably like 5 a.m. And I was like, yeah, I should go to the supermarket and get some groceries. And I went there, and I got back, and from that point, I was like, I'm just gonna do it. I'm gonna be fine. And when I got to the stage, I played the 25 minutes original songs. Mm-hmm. Bro, it was crazy. After 23 minutes, like the last song, I'm talking like the 2-3 minutes, like the last song, something happened to the sound system. Really, bro, I was like, like something like, I don't know, the front of house became the monitors, and something like fucked up, like in the sound, exactly like a minute before I'm finishing my original part.
Last song of
and
your original set.
Exactly, right before the shitty covers, right there,
right before the shitty cover,
right before this part, and I see people like, we can hear you, and I was like, yeah, let's stop the show and see what's going on. And they were like, you should go back and we can sound check quickly and you can continue the show. And I was like, guys, I'm a pro. I'm not gonna do it. Shit happens. It's all good. I'm gonna finish the show here. I'm fine. I'm not mad. I was
like, don't worry. I'll just finish this last song. I'm gonna finish this last one, and then it's gonna be done for me.
Exactly. So I was saved, and people were like eager to hear more. So it worked out perfectly.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. And then so now you have this booming, probably a fan base now, right? People are like excited and they want to hear more songs. And Like when does Nevermind come out? When does success of that happen? Was it fairly soon after that? Because I believe I read that you wrote that in Thailand, right?
I wrote it in Thailand. I mean, I wrote around 40 songs when I was there.
Oh, wow.
In the course of time of like this year that I was there. And Nevermind was actually probably one of the latest releases when really like, I would say like a month before I got back home. Mm-hmm. I released it. I wrote it, I think in June, like somewhere in the middle. And yeah, I mean, I felt really strongly about this song. I thought that it could be really successful. And when I got back home, I remember talking to my mother, and she showed me like the newspaper with an article about an artist that someone remixed his song, and he went viral and had like hundreds of millions of streams. And I was, yeah, maybe I should try have like a remix for my song, because I've never done anything like that. So I opened my laptop, and it was really natural. You know, it took me 2.5 hours, and I had it, and it sounds good. I love it. Let's release it and see like how is it gonna do. And you know, like as a young artist with no fans or no like serious fan base, and you want to have like the exposure, you got to think how you're gonna do it. So I decided I started there were channels on YouTube that were posting music, you know, just like the Vibe Guide or Marvelous, and you know, all these big channels with like millions or hundreds of thousands of subscribers, and they got like a lot of views for the song. So maybe I should try that. So I remember sending probably 10, 15 emails every day to these channels, you know, go to the About tab in YouTube and contact, you know, and just send it over and say like, bro, I want to premiere this song, like in your channel. And I sent it for like, I don't know, hundreds of channels. I really don't remember how many.
That's really smart.
I remember like a lot. And the first one who got it was Marvelous channel. It had like, I don't know, 400,000 subscribers. And I was very happy. And he said like, yeah, bro, I love the song. Let's do it. And I sent him the song, and he posted it. And I remember following it. And at the same time, I uploaded it through CD Baby, you know, just like licensing it and putting it all over the web and streaming platforms. Yeah. Exactly. So I remember following like the YouTube count on this Marvelous channel, and I see like 10,000, 20,000, 30,000, 100,000. And one day I get like an email saying like a request about Nevermind from a record label. And I was, what? You know, I was like really surprising to see. I mean, like the song had like 100,000 like views on YouTube. And 2 hours later, I got like another email. In a week, I think I got like 14, 15 emails of like record labels from Germany, France, US, everyone asking about Nevermind. And at some point I started having calls, you know, like on the phone, talking to labels, talking to A&Rs, and they all talk about Nevermind. And I'm like, at some point I had to ask, how did you find the song? I mean, like, it had like 150,000 views on YouTube. That's not something that should attract like anyone, you know?
I mean, that's a lot, but yeah, it's not like millions upon millions.
It was
like a TikTok really success, me, like, right?
Yeah, I mean, like at that point, like 100,000 for me was a lot, you know.
Oh, sure. Really, I mean, it's still like, a lot.
I mean, people. Yeah, and
I mean, I guess if you look at your catalog at 100 million within a month.
So look, when I asked them like, oh, like how did you find me, and they all said the same, like you should open Spotify. And my answer was always the same: what the fuck is Spotify? Because it wasn't available in Israel. Spotify was available in Israel probably like a year ago or something like that, a year and a half ago. You know,
really?
It's very new. Yeah, it wasn't available. I mean, you can use Spotify in Israel, and they also like, you gotta open Spotify. So I managed to do it like through VPNs and stuff and log into Spotify. Bro, when I open Spotify, I see Nevermind all around the playlist, like all around the world, really, like viral charts, like in, I think like 15 countries, and the biggest playlist, it was like apparently like a Spotify editor in Berlin. She heard the song, she liked it, she put it like in a big playlist, Swag, in Germany. And from there, it was just a snowball all around the world, bro. And I had no idea.
That's nuts. Bro. So when did you, like, how long after the song was released did you look on Spotify? And I mean, obviously Spotify got it through CD Baby, right? And then you didn't know what it was doing because you didn't have it.
I think it was probably like a month or maybe, yeah, I think around a month after releasing the remix.
Oh my gosh.
It was so weird, really so weird.
That's crazy. So now you're getting these calls from these record labels, and how overwhelming was that?
I mean, like until today, I'm still like overwhelmed.
He's like, I'm still overwhelmed. Shut up, dude.
No, I mean, like for me, it was really. If you watch the Sugarman movie,
oh yeah.
So I felt like that, something like that like the song exploded and I had no idea, you know, and everyone like played the song around the world and I had no idea that they're doing it because I'm here in Tel Aviv and I have no fucking clue. So it was really, really overwhelming, and especially like start to have like the all these calls with literally like the biggest labels.
Wow. And then obviously you sign a deal. And do you, at this point, are you like, what are you thinking as far as like, how are you thinking like, I should follow this up with a bunch more songs, or should I take advantage of the success of this song and get on the road? Like, what's your next move? I would imagine you're kind of probably being pulled in a bunch of different directions.
Yeah. So, I mean, I signed like a record deal, but it was really for a few songs. I think it was 5 or 6 songs. This was the first deal I ever signed. So it was really exciting to suddenly work with a label and have a team pushing your music and everything. And we started working on the record. And at some point I finished like a relationship that I had and I started writing songs about it. And I wrote Never Go Back. And when I wrote it, I was, because it was exactly like the continuation of Nevermind. So when I wrote it, I was like, yeah, that's the next single for sure. It builds like a story and it makes complete sense, you know? And I sent it over to the label and they didn't want this song. So
they didn't.
So no.
Oh man, you showed them.
They heard like, yeah, I mean like yeah, it was so weird, bro. Because I still believe like this song is really good. You know, I'm happy about it. And I think like song,
I think over 200 other million people think that as well.
Yeah, I think now they think like that. But yeah, back then it was an issue, and we got to a point where we are having a problem with the record label, like a legal problem, because I wanna release this song, not another song, and this is the perfect song to release after Nevermind. And yeah, I mean, it got to a point where for 2 years I couldn't release music because I was stuck there.
Yeah, like
lawyers,
litigation. Like in the contract. Oh my gosh,
bro, this was like, and at the same, like these 2 years are the 2 years that Nevermind is like building up higher and higher, like all around the world, bro. This is like the perfect time that you have like the momentum to release another song or an album or an EP. And I couldn't do it. It was so frustrating, and I couldn't talk to anyone about it, you know, because you don't want to cause.
You're like just locked in the. Yeah, you could get like legality comes in, and you can't. Yeah, I've heard the story. I'm not your story, obviously, but I've heard like instances where that will happen, where a label will pick somebody up, and then they're kind of like they want to just keep releasing music, or like, okay, I got a new song, I got this, I want to keep putting it out, and then the label's like, no, we have this plan. But it sounds like they didn't even want to put out the song that I mean, that song is obviously a smash.
I think that like sometimes when artists sign to labels, or more like labels sign artists, they sign them for a reason, you know, because of the music they make, because of, I don't know, like who they are, what they represent, their message. And I think sometimes there are people in the industry that want to change that. After they sign the artist, and he made like let's call it like he laid a golden egg, like a hit song. Yeah. And sometimes I feel like they want to replicate it, you know. But luckily, like after this situation was done, I signed up to Sony, and this was no longer an issue, because really, like, and you know, like as an artist, it can be super frustrating to work with a label, especially when you have a creative vision and people like, you know, want to control it and change it. And I remember having meetings like with Sony and Warner and others, and you know, like when you go to a label meeting, they all like show you the stuff, and they show you the place and the merch department and this department, radio department, and like eventually, and they all like you know, like have you as a guest there, you know, like play your music and have your photos there.
Wine and dine you.
Exactly. And eventually, like they get to a point where they ask you, like, okay, let's hear from you. What do you want? What are you looking for? And me, like as a, you know, Israelis, they love to negotiate and sometimes be like tough a bit. And I was like, I know how the music is gonna sound. I know how the videos are gonna look, and I know how I want to tour. I know everything. I have the complete vision. I'm just looking for someone to not fuck it up. That's exactly what I said in every meeting. And I was like, so I think awesome. they really, I was just like straightforward because I know how I want this shit like to be, you know. I just needed to not fuck it up and let me do what my thing. And yeah, luckily I found like Sony and Arista especially.
Oh wow, that's hilarious. Yeah, I have the idea. Just don't mess this up for me. Exactly. Wow. So then they obviously put out the record. It does awesome. And you're what at that point? Then do they put you on the road and you're selling out like huge venues and across the world, or
so
how does it work?
Touring started. Touring started. I think it was the year of Nevermind. I think was the first tour. We played. I think it was 14 or 16 shows. It was 10 in Europe and 6 in the US, if I'm correct. And like a guerrilla tour, like you see in the movies, you know, share beds like with the players, and we were like just like, because my team is my friend, so I have Ozzy, which is my best friend, and he was the tour manager. Although he's cool. Like a videographer, and my friend Rom is the saxophonist, so we used to share bed like all the time and have like small Airbnbs just to manage to sleep in every city and just like play the next shows. And we all got sick on the road. It was like, bro, like a show that you have, I don't know, 150 or 200 fans in the venue. You got to put up the equipment before you got to
tear
just
it
like
down.
put it back apart, like tear it down like after the show. So yeah, it was like literally like doing everything, and it was exactly like you see in the movie.
A lot of hard
amazing. Yeah. It's just like you have the worst time of your life, but like when you look back on it, you're like, oh, I had so much fun. Exactly. Right. You're like suffering, but like in the future, you're gonna be fine with it.
Right. So then when you put out when Never Go Back came out, was the touring a bit different at that point?
In terms of what? In terms
like
of touring?
As far as like the guerrilla style, like once you go with Sony Music, does it change a bit? Like, are you still doing that like grunt work as far as ripping your gear down, or is that when like the shift kind of changes?
Yeah. So my like touring is not related to Sony. I mean, like they are not in charge of like organizing it or I mean, like we all work for the same purpose, but that's something that I knew before signing a deal, that I need to control touring because I know that it can be tough, and I don't want to get to a point where people tell me like, you go play like 50 or 60 shows now.
Right.
And I'm like, no, I don't want to, you know, like I don't want to be like obligated to do anything in terms of like touring. I want to be able to control everything. So yeah, I mean, like the next tour was like bigger venues, and we got a tour bus finally. Yeah, I mean,
that was my next question. That was my question. Like, obviously it stepped up, and was it after that first tour? I mean, obviously you kind of gradually got bigger and bigger. So I think, I mean, the intensity was still intense, but it was still the same, but the conditions were better. Sure. Okay. Well, I know that this, I want to talk to you about your new records. So Some Days, as we kind of touched on earlier, is about the journey between Nevermind and now, right? And so tell me a little bit about that. Like
exactly.
I from what I read is you got kind of burned out in the end of 2019, and almost like the pandemic kind of gave you a little bit of chance to kind of refocus, regroup a little bit.
Yeah, so I think it's better that I just like explain what is it about. I mean, you touched on it, that it's really about the past 5 years in my life since I left to Bangkok, and Nevermind blew up and everything started to happen. So it's pretty much from that point until today, until after the last tour that I had back in 2019. I think right before the pandemic started. And this tour was like, there's only one difference between like doing it and having fun and doing it and not want to do it like ever again. And it's one tour. That's the only difference. And one tour, like too many. And I think for me, I was exhausted. And I had like a long tour in the summer for 3.5 months. So I got back home for 2 months, I think. And I got back on the road. And it was, I would say, like a very condensed tour, like 30 days, 20 shows, 17 countries, like, bro.
A lot.
Why? A lot. I mean, you have back-to-back shows, and you have back-to-back-to-back shows, and it's like, you have no fucking idea. You wake up in the morning, you open the tour bus window, and you're like, I don't know where I am. You go down and you hear German. You go down and you hear Polish, and you go down and you hear French. You're like, you have no idea, no idea of where you're at. And I had like some issues like in this tour, like, I was really, really anxious, really stressed, and I didn't have fun. I mean, it was too much for me, I would say. It was just like too much. And when I got back home, my manager was here in Israel, and I told him, like, Josh, I need a break. I need some time to just process everything that happened, everything. I need time to work on music. I need my Bangkok time. And yeah, I mean, it was literally like 2 months before they started announcing the pandemic all around the world.
Wow.
I managed to get to some sessions in the West Coast in LA. It was really productive. But yeah, I was there for like 2 weeks, and I was supposed to stay in New York for another week. And I thought, like, I gotta head back home before I'm stuck here in the US.
So that's when you started getting wind of what was going on when you're in the United States, when you're in LA.
Yeah.
Wow.
I remember, like going like in Ubers, like in LA, and reading the news, like in Israel, and they all speak about like virus and shit like that. And you're like sitting in the car, and you're like, oh, I'm still hyper, like I gotta, like it's just like intense. So I was like, yeah, I gotta go back.
Yeah. Wait, I'm curious to know, like, because you're reading news in Israel, was the pandemic taken more seriously, you feel like, through their news before it really hit in the United States? Because I mean, it's obviously two opposite sides of the world, right?
Yeah, I mean, like, I didn't follow the US news at that time, so I have no idea.
Oh, you were just following it there.
Just like from the beginning, and seeing like no one was aware. Then I just got started. Yeah, you know, it was pretty early. They start talking about it in January, earlier.
So from there, okay, I should get back, and then you get back, and then so were you already starting to write some days at this point when you were in LA?
Yeah, I mean, I was working on songs on the album. I also had songs that I wrote back when I had record label issues, and I realized that every time that I have like some difficulty in life, or I'm feeling upset at the moment, I feel like driving. It's just like I write a song and I put it aside. And I wrote a song and I put it aside for 5 years, and that's to the point that I think half of the album is moving, just like in the last 5 years. Songs like Anxious and Moving On, and reading like 2 years ago. Right? And then I had, so let's say, I don't know, 6 to 7 songs were moving before. And when I got back home from LA and I had a few more songs, everything was just connected. So that's the first time in 5 years that I had the time to really like process everything that happened.
Uh-huh.
Really like my life changed in 180. And from being like unknown to being to have like a song like blowing up all over and touring and fans and everything. It was just like really overwhelming. So I really took this time, like when I got back home, to think about it and think and bring up like everything that I ever felt like in the past 5 years, whether it's touring and promo and labels and everything. Just open up.
Wow. So it's been about 5 years that you were kind of, were you able to like kind of, sit and reflect on all that and then write the record, or was it like bits and pieces over the past 5 years that you were able to kind of sew everything together into what became this record?
So I think really like half of the record, like half of the album was written in the past 5 years.
Oh, okay.
Like some songs like Anxious, songs like Moving On, Irrelevant. Yeah, I mean many songs on the record were written during like the during the record label situation, some depressions that I had. Everything was just like connecting. And when I had the time to reflect and think about everything, that's why I could complete, the entire album.
Got it. Okay. Wow. And I know you did write a song with, well, The Way was the song that you wrote with Kygo.
Yeah.
And what was that done? What in that time span when you were in LA pre-pandemic, right before it?
It was I think 2019, if I'm correct.
Okay.
I was there like on a tour, on the long tour. Yeah, 2019, the long tour, the 3.5 months on the road. It was really about an EP that I wrote and I released with Never Go Back, GFY and stuff. So I went on tour, the Never Go Back tour, and Kygo hit me up and he said like, look, I love the EP, let's have a session. And he said like, I'm in Vegas and I was in the West Coast. And so we took a flight and we had a session. It was great, really. So we managed to work on it a bit. And I took the record and just like finished the lyrics and the melodies. Like when I was like, when I had like on this tour, I had like, wow, bro, so long, like 3.5 months. And I had a break of like 10 days and I took a flight. Like I took like more like 5 flights to Latin America to spend 10 days like in the jungle. I wrote this song and I got back on the road. Bro, I'm a bit crazy.
You're quite adventurous. I did read, you went to what, Colombia and just hung out in the jungle? That's bold, right? I mean,
from Australia, bro. I went there from Australia. It took me like 20 something hours, I think. It was like 5 flights. It was so crazy.
And were you by yourself? Like, how do you even take something on like that? Like, you're just like, where's the jungle? I'm gonna go ahead and like, how do
the nearest jungle? Yeah, I mean, I just left my stuff in New York and I took a backpack and I went there, for 10 days and I got back to New York. And within like these 10 days, think about it. You're in the middle of a world tour. And I got to playing shows all around the world, like US, biggest festivals like Coachella and Governor's Ball. And bro, and suddenly I'm in the jungle with monkeys, for 10 days.
Wow. That is so crazy. That's wow. And then I did see that you were able to actually play a show, what, kind of recently, 16,000 seats in Tel Aviv?
Yeah, months ago, I played my first arena shows in Tel Aviv. It was like 16,000 seats all over the weekend. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I had like mixed feelings about it because it was postponed for almost 2 years. We booked it back in 2019, and then I had like this, I would call like a trauma tour that I got back home, and I thought that I don't know ever want to play again, because it was too much, and I was like, I gotta put touring and music, live music aside. But yeah, I'm really happy that it was postponed because I understood like so many things about myself and how I want to present the show to people and what I want people to take home, from the show.
That's awesome. That's so awesome. And was it like, I'm sure it was emotional for you to come back. And I bet you that was a lot of people's first shows back in what, a year and a half. Was it, could you tell, like, could you feel like a different energy up there knowing that people haven't seen probably a live show in a year and a half?
Yeah, I mean, you can really feel it like with the fans, the way they were interacting with the show, like with me, and the concert itself and the environment, and how they really like it. I played shows in Tel Aviv, like I don't know, in the past 5 years. I've never had fans really like that, you know, pouring their souls out. And I feel that's something also related to not having shows for almost like 2 years, and also related to the content that I gave the show. You know, I never opened up, you know, until this album. I never opened up about myself so deeply, I would say. And I really did it in the show. I spoke about things that I would probably like never do like before. And people really connected to the message. And I don't know, the energy was just like wild, wild, bro.
Was it, were you kind of nervous about sharing that with people? Like, you know, being that vulnerable on stage?
It was weird because before each show, you know, like you have like the stomach ache and you're like, you're about to throw up maybe a bit. And you're just like nervous and excited. And before these shows, bro, I was as chilled as now. As I'm talking to you. Wow. It was so weird because I've never had anything like that before. And even like my girlfriend, she was with me on tour, and she was really like anxious about me. Like, why aren't you like stressed or nervous at all? You're just like sitting like that, and like everything is fine. And you just go up on stage and play in front of like 8,000 people, and all good, you know. And yeah, bro, it just felt like right. I don't know how to say it.
That's so cool, man. Well, obviously well deserved, and the record is being received so well. I know. I mean, there's just the streaming numbers on Spotify alone. I mean, you have over 100 million streams on the record, which is so insane to think about just over the course of 1 month. So, and the album is amazing, and I do appreciate you taking time to talk with me today. This has been so cool.
Thank you for having me, bro. It's a pleasure.
This is so cool. I have one more question for you. Before I let you on your way, but I want to know if you have any advice for aspiring artists.
I have a lot. Do you have time?
I'd love to hear it. I got all day.
Yeah, okay, no, that's fine. So a few important things. The first one, when you're young and you write songs and you put them, you know, in the back of the drawer or back in the computer, you know, you're being selfish by doing it. And I would tell you why. Because when I was touring and I met fans, you know, and talked to them, and the impact that I had, like with songs like Leftovers or even GFY, and the fact that like someone approached me and said like, bro, this song saved my life. I was about to jump off a roof. I was about to, I don't know, stab myself or whatever, you know, and people were, the fact that you are able, I mean, like your words and your lyrics and your melodies are able to change someone's life in the other side of the world without you even knowing about it. That's like the only reason and the most important reason to always release music, you know, always just like do it. Just do it. Don't put anything and save it like to yourself, and be shy about it. And that's the first thing I would say. Second, most important thing, don't try to sound like anyone. Really, like when I spent the time like in Bangkok, I didn't listen to music. I didn't have Wi-Fi in my apartment. Kind of like the situation that I am right now. I don't have internet except my phone, so I don't listen to music. And when you don't listen to music, but you want to hear, you know, songs and I don't know, have fun, so you gotta create it. You gotta be your own radio station, and you challenge yourself. And you know, like I think that's the most important thing. Like always challenging yourself and developing your own sound. Don't try to sound like anyone except like yourself, and always be true to yourself. And eventually that's what makes your sound. You know, when I studied jazz in school, we had tests that you just like listen to a track. The teacher would put like a track, and it's all like instrumental. And you got to recognize the players who's playing, like who's the drummer, who's the trumpet player, who's the bass player. And you're like, how are you going to do it like with the instrumental? It's when you think about it, it's super weird. But then when you realize that everyone has a unique sound, if you listen to, I don't know, 4 or 5 trumpet players, they all have like different sounds. Miles Davis, Louis Armstrong, Lee Morgan, Kenny Dorham, all these guys, bro. They all sound different, and they make the instrument, and the instrument is the same. They make the sound. And when I realized that, I realized how important it is to have like a unique sound and your own sound. Because if you listen to the album and to, I don't know, my entire
discography.
How you fucking call it? Yeah, discography. Everything is like different. There are songs that are more like towards, I would say like rock, more like soft pop, more like, every song is like different. If you take songs like Commissions and Meditations that are more leaning like into trap, it's always me. You can always recognize myself. And it's not because I have like some sort of a magic powder there. It's just like I'm fucking being myself. It's super easy. You just gotta do it. Don't try to sound like anyone else. Be original. That would be like my 2 main advices. Bringing it backward.